All right. Hello. Happy day to everyone, depending on what day you're watching this. My name is Melanie Kennemann. I'm an executive team leader with KW Austin, and I'm so excited to introduce somebody you already know, I'm sure, but it's the one and only Gene Rivers, who's been a huge mentor, somebody I really look up to. I love every minute I get with him. Mr. Gene Rivers is with us today for a very short little mini interview to talk about 3 things that you can do right now to move forward during the world that we're in right now experiencing. So Gene, thank you so much for being with me today.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's my pleasure, and you're so kind. Your words are very sweet.
Oh, well, it's very true, and I know a lot of us feel that way about you. So you were very loved in Austin by many of us, big time. So Gene, let's talk about that. When COVID hit, you know, you were the first person I called, and I said, Gene, would you do a team meeting with us in Austin, right? About what's going on, because I know you've been through so much, and you gave us such nuggets of wisdom of what to do and how to handle it when life shows up the way it's shown up, because you have amazing stories. What are 3 things you think that agents can be doing right now? Now it's July, right? We've settled, and we're 4 months in. So it's a different thing. We don't know how long this is going to go. People are still selling. A lot of agents are selling a lot of houses, and a lot of agents are perhaps waiting for this to be over, right? So it's very, very different what's going on. What do you think would be 3 things, 3 nuggets you could give people today to move forward?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about these, frankly, if your intent and your career path is to be in the 20% and be very focused on this as a lifelong career. Number one thing you have to do is understand at the beginning of the year, if you did your job right, you had a business plan, you had an ongoing connection with strangers and Mets in terms of buying and selling real estate in the future. And that's a fancy way of saying you should have had a pipeline. So you started your pipeline, and you knew people at the end of last year that said, no, we're not going to do anything yet, but next year in the spring, we'll put the home on the market and we'll move by June or July. We want to be settled by August. So the second and third quarters are usually agents' best months of the year historically in most markets. Right. So March hit, boom, everything changed. Everything changed for consumers, not just us, for businesses, everything changed. And what literally happened to us is your pipeline blew up. The pipeline you had blew up. And there's basically 3 people left standing in your pipeline. People said, no, we're done. We're just sitting tight right now. People said, well, we'd like to, but I'm not sure. It's a little scary. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And other people that said, we're doing it. We waited too long. We should have moved last year, but we're not going to wait. To hell with COVID, we're moving, right?
Right.
So, those 3 people. So what you need to be doing right now is understanding the people that said, no, we're going to wait, or people said, no, I'm not sure. Some of them are now ready to address the issue. So what's likely to happen for agents that are very forward thinking and aggressive is to have a much bigger second half of the year if you simply will wrap your arms and rebuild your pipeline. You got to rebuild it out of your Met database. And all along, you have people who didn't know they were going to need to sell until all of a sudden they find out they're pregnant, or they found out they lost a job, or they found out, right? So people are still experiencing, I need to move now, and I didn't know I would.
Yeah, life's still happening for them, right?
So agents that are sitting on the sidelines are missing those opportunities because they're not engaging. So the number one thing is you need to be talking to your entire Met database, past clients and sphere. You need to be talking to them at a very high level, 20 a day, 30 a day, to get your hands wrapped around what have I got here? How many people do I have that in the second half of this year want to do business? And the only way to do that is talk to them. Now, you can talk to them with text, you can talk to them with email or on the phone or face-to-face. But the issue is communication back and forth about, are you thinking about it? Are you afraid? Can I answer questions for you? But let's see if there's a way for you to get your housing dreams accomplished in the second half of this year. So that's number one. Number 2, now that's Met business, all right? Now let's talk about non-Met business. Number 2, the entire dynamic of doing business today has changed. COVID has shoved every business more into the digital world of business. Everybody. And that literally means their employees, their workers who all were shoved at home, Most of them are going to go back, but as much as 30 to 40% aren't. And I don't mean they're fired. I mean, they're going to be remote. They're going to stay remote.
And they're going to realize they can be, right?
Well, that's it. Corporate Americans realize, dang it, we don't need to be having all this space. We don't need to be having all these coffee pots. These folks will do it from home and buy their own coffee, right? So it's an efficiency issue. But the point is, it was shoved onto everybody. And it literally, what was taking years to evolve into, it's like, all right, now you're going to live in the tech world for business, period. So that means people have spent the last 3 months learning to do business with Zoom or Google conference calls, chat groups, having a home office, doing all that. Now that means these are your customers, and these are also strangers. So what they've also been doing is nosing around even more on the internet. They're watching more videos than they've ever watched. 2 months ago, no, it's almost 3 months ago now, YouTube announced they're no longer able to stream high definition because of all the people watching video. Everything is in standard definition because of so much video watching. Listen to this. Listen to this. On YouTube, the fastest growing part of YouTube is, quote, how-to videos. How-to videos. 70% increase in watching how-to videos since January on YouTube.
Wow.
So here's the point. Agents have to also be shoved into the digital platform. You cannot afford now to sit back. You are barely keeping up with the consumer, and now the consumer has raced ahead of you on their embracing technology and social media platforms for personal gain, meaning watching videos about real estate, right? So agents need to wake up to that. So number one is talk to all your mess heavily. Number two, get your fanny on command, quit clowning around, be posting on YouTube and Instagram, be posting ads on Facebook, use the campaigns, use the smart plans, get into gear. The people that are doing this are taking market share, and this is not going away.
No.
I hate to say it, but we're going to see a rift where the people who do adopt new technology are going to gain, and the people who don't are going to fade. And there's not going to be much that can stop that fade. Because we all know Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, all they did was build platforms and then grabbed consumers and then sold them back to us.
Right.
It's that easy. Well, now there's even more people out there very seriously nosing around. And when they find great content instead of just stupid, want to list a property, you can do way better than that, right? Agent.
Right.
So that's what they need to do. And I particularly focus on video.
Any specific kind of video?
Well, I think YouTube is the model. You know, the big gorilla everybody says is Facebook, over 2 billion users, 2.1. But guess what? YouTube is now 2 billion users. They're equal. They're equal.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, I use both. And I think the people that really get it are gonna, you have to be seen, right? It's a great way for people to know you online. And what are our options in COVID, right? And so I do see more and more agents starting to embrace that, but you do see the innovators that are, they're grasping this and they're doing Facebook campaigns through Command, and you're hearing all the success, $850 spend to get $80,000 in GCI, and they're not depending on Zillow, and they're not depending on these other companies to pay a big dollar amount. Instead, they're going out and grabbing their unfair share. But then they'll have other people that say, oh, I ran 3 or 4 campaigns and I didn't get a lead. Well, you didn't have the right message. So you have to try it different ways, right? And so I love that you said that, because I agree that whole space has become such a bigger playground for us and such an opportunity to control the mind share that we get into with other people. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Absolutely. And in terms of whether you choose Instagram or YouTube, both are valid. They're slightly different demographic, but if you talk about the big gorilla, it's YouTube. Instagram is not yet 1 billion users, but you got over twice that number on YouTube. Plus, being owned by Google, you post videos on YouTube, your Google juice is going up. You run an ad boost on Google Juice, they're more likely to point a consumer to your video on their platform called YouTube.
Right.
But again, I would be doing the how-to.
Okay.
And the how-tos that I would be making right now are how to sell your home during the era of COVID-19 and be safe. How to buy a home and be safe in the era of COVID-19. planning your move to be a safe move from your old home to your new home in the era of COVID-19. I mean, people want to know, can I do this and be safe?
Right.
I want to buy or sell, but I've got kids and my wife's a diabetic. Can we do this?
Right.
This is not a joke. Consumers are very concerned and should be. People are dying.
Yeah.
But the fact is, a lot of us have figured out, if you're going to the grocery store, you'll be safer with me buying a home or selling your home than when you go to the grocery store.
Right.
Because I want to mitigate the risk at a very high level. And you can't mitigate all the risk of all those people you don't know. That can of peas you just picked up, who just touched it before you picked it up? That's not going to happen when you go to look at my listing. It's washed and cleaned down. You're given gloves. You're going to wear boots. You're not going to touch anything. And when you leave, we're going to sanitize your hands. That's not happening at the grocery store.
That's right.
That's right. So it's safer. It's safer.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And you need to go to the grocery store. You have to get those things to survive, right? And yet you're creating an environment, or our agents are creating an environment that's safe for the consumer, but you have to educate them on how that's possible, right?
That's right. That's right.
That.
Yeah.
Okay, what's number 3, my dear? What's number 3? What's your third tip?
Number 3 is very simple. If you talk to all your database of Mets and past clients and Sphere at a high level, you're going to get more business. If you start mining the technology with the tools that we have in KW, use command, use the lead acceleration, use the tools, use the tool, then you're going to get more business too. Now, when you have more business, and if you're already busy, then leverage becomes your issue. Yeah. And the leverage thing that matters a lot is systems. But the thing that matters most is people. And the reason is most agents that are busy have systems. They're just not that good. But because they're busy, they're never going to get real good because they're too busy to put time into the systems. So the truth is, hiring somebody is the gift most people need to truly have a career worth having or a business worth owning. Is it expensive? No, it's not. I hear that all the time. I don't know if I can afford it. The return on investment is the question. So when you hire an admin, your first admin, the return on investment is 3 times their cost. Typically, it's 2 transactions a month added to your business. Single agent at 36 will go to 60 units a year. You'll not only get the money they cost you and the IRS tax money for the extra income you make, but you'll make the same money in profit that they are paid. So you make more money and you get more time. And that's the second one. People say, well, I don't know if I have the time to train somebody. This is just nonsense. When you hire somebody, you literally buy 40 hours a week that you can use however you want to use them. So when you say, I don't know if I have the time, well, what you need to do is buy some time. I mean, that's what you need.
You don't know because you don't have any. You wouldn't even know how to. I'm sure your family would appreciate too, you having some time back, right?
That's right. It's like you want to say, are you listening to yourself? You're so dumb. You don't know how dumb you are.
That wife, yeah, exactly.
I need time, and I could buy time, but I don't want to buy time because I don't have time. What? What are you saying to me?
That is so common. I hear that all the time. I don't have time, right? I don't have time to get leverage. I don't have time to work on that. When things slow down, I'll get to it. And it's like,
Yeah. No, then you'll be saying, I don't have any money.
Right, because your system's broken, you didn't follow up, and you weren't really good at your job anymore, and now you have no business, right?
That's right. Yeah. And the evidence is real clear. You can sell 30 houses a year, working 40 to 50 hours a week. You can sell 60 houses a year, working 40 to 50 hours a week. You can do 120 houses, working 40 to 50 hours a week. You can even sell 240 houses a year, working 5 hours a week. The issue is not your need for time. It's how you spend your time. Yeah. And when people do leverage, they get people to spend their time on the stuff you don't like doing. That means you get to move to mastery in what you like doing, and the world gets really nice.
That's amazing. And you know what's very lucky for us, for those of you that are still watching this in July, there's a class for that. And we're going to be hosting that virtually with you, and who's one of, again, my favorite trainer to listen to. July 30th and 31st, we're doing the whole leverage series. And I'm a trainer on this too. I love teaching this at the Market Center. I do it all the time, but we're like, nah, let's get like the best of the best. And so I was glad Ricky Kane reached out to you and started the conversation. We're like, oh man, great minds think alike. So we were able to book Jean for July 30th and 31st. And what you're doing is you're going to do all 3 series in 2 days, which I think is awesome, which is we're going to do CV on Thursday, right? 9 to 5. And then Friday, you're going to do half day, 30, 60, 90, which is once you've hired that person, how do you set them up for success? The first 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, 90 days. And then the afternoon, we'll talk about success through others, which is long-term staying in business with great talent, right? And so we're packing 2.5 days into 2 days. So anything you want to say about that, my dear?
Yeah, pray for me.
Oh,
no, I would just say it's going to be a lot.
It's a lot of information. So, very high level class.
Yeah. So understand, don't be afraid of that, because the reality is if you really want to get good at the process of hiring people, you don't just take the training. You need to go back and read the manual again, and then read it again, and make notes on the sidelines and tab pages over, and email questions to people that you know the product, and then take the training again. So my job is simply is to be there to make sure everybody's real clear on what the big issues are and what the best practices are. And then you got to go back and dive down deep by reviewing and making sure your comprehension is where it needs to be. Right. Sometimes you got to read it and hear it several times before it all really settles in, right?
Especially with that course, I tell people, gosh, the first time is just like your intro. You know, we're going to snorkel today, right? And then each time you get a little bit deeper, right? And so I would recommend, if you've taken it before, take it again. And there's updates on the material as well, right? I mean, it's updated material.
Yep, there is. So it's going to be fun. And there's also going to be a lot of stuff that's not in the material that we're going to talk about. It's not just what's in the book. It's also what's in between the lines in the book. Right. And we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff too. I've taught this ever since I came to KW. It used to be called career visioning, and then it was recruit select. And now we're back to career visioning again, and I've taught all of it. So
yeah, right. I love that. Well, you are really a master of that material too, because you've also lived it at such a high level with your team. I mean, you're both you have an amazing team with your wife, Rebecca, and you guys own multiple market centers. So you've really lived it from both perspectives. So we've opened it up to, because we're virtual. I mean, if you're watching this and you're in Los Angeles, or you're in New York, or you're in Wyoming, or wherever you are, you're welcome to join us. I'll attach the link under this video. It's $199 for the 2-day, which is amazing. I mean, if people can remember, it used to be like $600 to take those classes. So very excited to have you, Jean, and you're going to bring so much to our people. And I think right now everyone's so busy. So I would just really, really reach out and say, guys, you're never too busy though to really think about how you could run your business and get leverage, because you can do all the other things, but if you don't get leverage, none of it really matters. It's kind of like you did number 1 and 2 for nothing, right? And so number 3 is the one that's going to actually propel you to have the life by design and to have the structure and the time that you need to keep growing and moving forward. Otherwise, the other one, without that number 3, without leverage, you're on the road to burnout, right? And you see a lot of agents, they just crash and burn because they never bring in a system. They never bring in a person. And it's like a one-hit wonder, right? You're this one-hit wonder. They had that one song that was amazing. You have this one agent that had really amazing numbers for a couple of years, and then you never heard of them again. Or they just declined dramatically because they couldn't manage it, because they didn't have leverage and they didn't have the right people and systems. And it's the people that own a business, right, that have really something we talked about that earlier, legacies, right? You can really create a legacy. I think people underestimate the power of what they can build in real estate. It's pretty incredible. There aren't many industries like ours.
That's right. It's the last great solo flight you can take as a business person, because the capital requirement is so low to get going, and it's very profitable as a single agent, which can fund your growth without a bank loan, without you taking money out of savings, and that can propel you all the way to net $1 million. Just where else can you get that opportunity? Nowhere.
Right. Well, Jean, we are going to have a great 2 days, end of July. Thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to spend 2 days with you in just a few weeks.
All right. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing all of you watching this. Y'all be there.
All right. I'm going to